Ukrainians have started targeting Russian energy infrastructure again, mostly going after refineries, but going after some pipeline places, and they've probably now reduced Russian refining capacity by 40%. So 40% of Russia's refining capacity has been taken offline, which is the most that's been offline since the Russian collapse back in the 1990s. The post-Soviet collapse. If the Trump administration actually does what it's talking about doing, U.S. satellite guidance combined with the weapons Ukrainians already have would be capable of targeting individual pumping stations anywhere in Western Russia. And the Russians export about 5 million barrels a day through their various methods, about 2/3 of that going out through the Baltic Sea and the Black Sea, which are all within range of Ukrainian weapons. If you take out just a couple of the pumping stations, those exports go to zero. If you do that, you basically destroy what has been Russia's #1 income source for the last 30 years, oil exports. And then countries like Iran and China, which have been taking money from Russia and sending them drones and drone parts, will have to decide whether they want to directly subsidize the Russian government's war in Ukraine. Iran is really in some dire straits right now. They need the currency. They don't want to treat Russia as a charity case. And the Chinese, that's probably a bridge too far, no matter how bad relations with the United States happen to be. So if that happens and the Russians have to fight on their own, it doesn't mean that the war is over, but it means you have a catastrophic shift in fortunes on both sides. Will this happen? That's entirely up to Donald Trump, but once the intel is provided, for every day that it is there, the Ukrainians will definitely be striking. Both the Russians and the Ukrainians over the last year have been building up their drone capabilities, and we're now regularly seeing attacks that use hundreds of drones on each side. You combine that with precision targeting information, much less Western weaponry, and you can have a really dramatic change in the course of the war. Now, some of these attacks are more political in mind, the ones that hit places like Moscow, where the political elite lives, or Sochi down in the Black Sea, where the political elite vacations. The Ukrainians are showing that they can hit targets more than 1,000 miles away from their borders, specifically a place called Bashkortostan. It's a province in western Siberia, Eastern European Russia, populated by ethnic Bashkiri, who are a Turkic minority, pretty large one in the Russian space. But the fun thing about Bashkortostan is it sits at a pipeline nexus that links pretty much all of the southern Siberian energy fields into the European pipeline network. And so if there's meaningful damage in Bashkortostan, you're not just looking at problems with refinery production, you're talking about upwards of 3 million barrels a day that could get locked in. And the Ukrainians have figured out that going after a pumping station is a really good idea if you want to disable some of the pumping infrastructure. Primorsk is a port on the Gulf of Finland, very close to St. Petersburg. Gulf of Finland is an arm of the Baltic Sea. It is arguably Russia's top export destination, that the Gulf of Finland writ large. Not only is there Primorsk, there's a place called Ust-Luga. Both of them have been hit recently, and both of them now are operating below half effectiveness. So Primorsk used to export about 1 million barrels a day, now it's about half that. Ust-Luga used to be about 700,000 barrels a day, now it's about half that. You put all this together,